And hello, movie lovers, and welcome to the show. So today I have my good friend, the Western Wonder, aka the Pick a Flick podcast, with me. And we're going to be talking about Netflix buys Warner Brothers. What does it mean? Has Hollywood just changed forever? What's going on here? We're going to be talking about all that and much more. So let's go ahead. Let's get on with the show. And how are you doing, man?
I'm stressed. I'm panicked. I'm inconsolable right now. This is, the industry is not the industry that I remember when I first started doing podcasts 6 years ago. This is really an interesting deal and an interesting time to live in. But how about yourself, sir?
I'm actually sharing the same kind of stress level as you are right now because of the fact that this is something new. This is bigger than 20th Century Fox buying out, basically Disney buying 20th Century Fox.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it. And some people are like, oh, they're monopolizing. I said, it's not monopolizing because number one, Netflix is one company. They don't have several other things underneath their umbrella. They also don't share stock or anything. So it's not monopolizing. They just went on ahead and bought they ended up buying Warner Brothers. And I'm going to tell you something that doesn't make sense to me, and we'll get into that in a few minutes about the fact that they ended up buying a streaming service when they already have a streaming service. So we're going to talk about that.
Yes.
Which absolutely makes no sense whenever you look at it like that.
Yeah.
So I want to go over the pros and cons of Netflix owning Warner Brothers and what does it mean for us. But I do want to give you guys some context into it if you guys haven't heard the news, which I'm sure everybody has. But I want to give some context underneath everything because that's what I like to do. But the deal has a total enterprise value, including debt, of approximately $82.7 billion, with an equality value of $72 billion. The company said the announcement of Netflix's deal to buy the Warner Brothers streaming and studios business came after weeks of bidding war that pitted streaming giant against David Ellison's Paramount, Skydance, and Comcast. News broke Thursday evening that Netflix had entered into an exclusive negotiations with WBD on a deal for Warner Brothers and HBO Max. He goes, I know some of you are surprised we are making this acquisition. Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos said on a call with an analyst Friday, nothing the company historically has been more excited about than buyers. Netflix said it expects to maintain Warner Brothers' current operations and build on strengths, including theatrical releases for films. Currently, Warner Brothers has deals to release its films in cinemas through 2029 in the near term. Netflix singled it would keep HBO Max as a discrete service, while it also touted the addition of HBO and HBO Max content in it to its lineup. By adding the deep film and TV libraries in HBO and HBO Max program, Netflix members will have even more high quality titles from which to choose. The company said this also allows Netflix to optimize its plans for consumers, enhancing viewing options and expanding access to content, and yada, yada, yada. So let's go on ahead. Let's talk about this. Let's see. Kevin Davis says people are overreacting. Warner Brothers was eventually get sold anyways. Netflix will attract more subscribers. But here's the thing, though, man. It goes much deeper and rooted into this with as far as things go. And I'm going to get into that as well because it's more than just a studio buying another studio. It goes into the fact that you have a streaming service where Ted said this a few like last year, Kevin, where he said that movies are a dying breed, pretty much. Not going for verbatim, just paraphrasing. He said they're just a dying thing, the age of the dinosaur, and their way of streaming is actually the way that they want to do it. And now, when they say they want to go ahead and release movies into the theater, they said they will, but for how long? Is my question. Because we always see Netflix do this, and you can where they release it for about 2 or 3 weeks in limited theaters, and then they take it away. So my thing is this. So if you're going to treat this in a way of doing this, they need to do this. okay, anything that's a Warner Brothers production, we're not going to go ahead and take it about 2 or 3 weeks and put that into theirs selectively, right? So if it's so therefore you have to, so therefore go on ahead, release it into theaters, have the same amount of showtime as you normally do. But for a Netflix property, that needs to be on streaming services, or do what you normally do and put it in limited theater so that way it can be nominated for the Academy Awards if you choose to do so. This is also the same company who thought, let's put Guillermo del Toro's film
Frankenstein and the minimal amount of theaters.
Right.
And he fought hard to get it to more theaters out there, but Netflix was like, no, we're just going to put it in these little amount of theaters for multiple weeks. It's the same model. It's
exactly.
I don't know. I'm not sure about this. Warner Brothers, their theatrical route is different from Netflix's and how they do the things. And I think that they should just, like you said, separate them, because logistically it wouldn't make sense for Batman to have a 2 or 3 week release. That is a big property. It's a big brand. It should get a rollout like that. Versus if Netflix wanted to do something with one of their stuff, just give it a little bit of money if you want to, but don't let it leak into Warner Brothers stuff. I just feel like that's a little bit invasive. So that's
it really
my biggest concern. Yeah.
And Kevin, look, once again, I'm going to have to disagree with you, respectfully disagree with you. People aren't showing going to theaters unless it's events. I have to agree with you. Sinners is not an events film, event screenings. Weapons was not an event.
One battle after another wasn't.
Exactly. So, people are going to go see original content if the content is good. They're not going to go see movies that are not good. Especially whenever you have word of mouth saying that Sinners was a great movie. It wants to be, as a matter of fact, we actually have noms coming out. Weapons was a good movie.
Right.
And so I have to respectfully disagree with you on that. Because if that was the case, people, don't forget, Fantastic Four, great movie. Guess what? It didn't do well at the box office. Another thing, too, is we also had another film that we had 3 comic book films in Marvel. We had Captain America. That didn't do so well.
We don't talk about that one.
And also, too, we also had The Thunderbolts. Great movie. Didn't succeed well at the box office.
Yeah.
So, event films like that just didn't work as much as they wanted to. Even Superman did a fantastic job whenever you look at this. So it puts James Gunn on that mantle of like, I am recreating this DCU industry, and I'm going to revamp it, and we're going to make some money off of it. And he actually made close to what the budget was. So that's why I'm going to have to say I have to respectfully disagree with you on that. Now, Avatar is always going to be an event film for people to see. And I'm not the one to bet against James Cameron or anything. The Avatar movies are not for me. I only like the first one. I've seen it twice in theaters, and then I also bought it on DVD. But once you buy something on DVD, it erases the enhancement of what the original film intended to do. And you don't have that experience that you do as you would watch it on a big screen, which is why I have to say it's kind of overrated as far as an Avatar movie goes. So, but I'm going to celebrate with other people that actually like this franchise that will go out and see Avatar. Avengers and Spider-Man, yes, because guess what? Everybody wants to see what this new Avengers is, and this mystery element of what it is. It's the mystery element of what we're getting versus what we already know we're getting. So that's why it's the curiosity effect versus the nostalgia versus the fact that it's an event film. It's a mystery element to what we're getting versus what we already got. So that's just my 2 cents on that.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add though, as far as that goes?
I probably have more to add when you break down the pros and cons.
Okay. Pros of Netflix owning Warner Brothers, right?
Yep.
So we have massive financially stability for DC, HBO, and Harry Potter. So we have stability over there. Then we have worldwide global reach with unified releases, which means that if you're overseas, you no longer have to worry about waiting to go see a movie. You can go ahead and see it along with us, and it makes money globally that way versus waiting. So that is a positive to me as someone that goes out to the theaters and see it. And if you live overseas, you are able to see it at the same time in the US. So that's actually really good on that part. And then you also have faster green light process with less studio bureaucracy. Now, we talked about budgets before, right? Sometimes when we do our movie show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Movie news show. So the thing that I like about this is, and we talked about this a little bit about what we were worried about, but put it into context, you have two different budgets. It's like, okay, well, I want to make a $250 million budget movie, right? It's like, well, you cannot do it with this Warner Brothers property.
Yeah.
But we also have money that we can exceed on the Netflix front, and we can float your movie that way, because it may not be a movie that we want to have out in the theater or anything. So we can put that onto streaming, and you can make your movie that way. So that's one way of doing it. And also, too, it cuts down the budgeting to where a $250 million Batman movie will not probably happen now. It'll probably be closer to like maybe 90 million.
Or maybe like $5 and maybe some extra things from Dollar Tree. It'll get the same effects. You just won't notice the difference. It's Netflix. It's Netflix, John.
This is not the TV version from the 1960s.
Oh, God, no. I mean, it's campy and it's fun in its own way,
Right.
but it's definitely not that.
But then you also have one unified streaming home for all WB content, more experimental and darker creative risk. So, what do you think about the pros as far as that goes?
You know what? I think you are onto something. I think one of the stronger points for Netflix stuff is that they are on record to, I guess, promote or platform older material that they have, have some stake in, versus some of their own content that does not get top priority, does not name Stranger Things. So I do think stuff like, Harry Potter or DC could definitely get top priority, and perhaps certain projects that may have been tossed around but abandoned could be revisited in the right context and the right budget. It definitely won't be as big as something that Warner Brothers would do. Like you said, a $250 Batman movie might be dropped, or what did they do? Was it Batgirl was dropped?
What was it? Say that again.
Batgirl wasn't that dropped by WB?
Yeah, basically what Zaslav did was he said he wanted to do it for a tax cut write-off, so they ended up canning the movie and they put it in the vault. So that's what they did. And I know I call him Zoloff sometimes, but
that's appropriate.
But I have to. Here's the thing: I have to agree with John Campea on what he said about one thing was, whenever the other regime had the studio, it was on its deathbed, and Zaslav ended up building the company back up to where it is now. And I have to give him credit on that aspect of it, because of the fact it's no longer a dying company. Now it's a thriving company, and it has better shares. Eric Weber broke the storyline. Thank you. I appreciate that. I understand. I'm trying to give you guys my own context. I do appreciate that. So more experimental. So I'm telling you guys what the pros and cons are, okay? That's what's going to be different than what you saw on Eric's show. And I don't know you know who Eric Weber is, but I'm happy for him.
I don't know who Eric Weber is.
So anyways, so that's how I'm looking at it. Massive financial stability for DC, HBO, and Harry Potter. I like the fact that, you have more stability that way. And then you also have the cons of Netflix owning Warner Brothers. You have the theatrical movie releases could suffer, franchise oversaturation and DC fatigue, loss of HBO prestige storytelling, licensing chaos, and content ruffling. And then you also have to understand this. Netflix loves to build stuff on an algorithm and space storytelling over creator-driven projects. How many times have we ever seen this? They remind me of me and myself if I actually decided I wanted to own a company and I have ADHD. It's like, okay, let's go on ahead. Let's make a Batman TV show. Never mind. Right. I don't want to do that anymore. We're going to cancel that in one season. We're going to cancel that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how many times have we actually seen Netflix do that, where they go ahead, they greenlight something, and then they cancel it over and over again?
567,000 times. There was a project that Nancy Meyers was attached to working on with Netflix, and that didn't even get far into production. They completely dropped that because, according to Netflix sources, budget cuts. They didn't have enough of an affordable budget for this particular filmmaker. All of a sudden, out of the cracks of their behinds, $82.7 billion is thrown on the table for Warner Brothers. So I can understand with certain filmmakers that had projects with them that were just dropped time and time again are a little bit, disgruntled about this decision. Like, well, certainly we were working together and you don't have this money for me, but you have this money for this big conglomerate. It's strange. But what were you
Right.
doing with that?
But yeah, I think it's just one of those things where, I don't see that being successful with doing an algorithm kind of style of storytelling. When you have an idea and you bring it over to the studio, you want them to be able to say, okay, let's see what we can market this for. How much is the budget? How much do we
Mhm.
have to pay for the catering? How much do we have to pay for the actors? And let's see what we can do here. And this feels like, well, the algorithm is not really showing that right now. I don't think there's any interest in this. So I
Forget the
think
algorithm.
forget it. It's a fugazi. It's nothing there. It's just there. But it just feels like they're banking on algorithms versus it being something that a creator standpoint. And I know Christopher Nolan's supposed to be having a meeting with them.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
in my notes about the DGA because
Yeah.
the guilds have had their own statements. I'm not sure if you saw all three of them because there's different responses from all three of them. Because on the one hand, the WGA is saying this deal should be blocked 100%. This streamer trying to capitalize on this theatrical market that WB has set up. I think that it does more negative than positive for our industry, so they say. Versus SAG approach is kind of like a wait and see. They see the positives and they see the negatives, so they're kind of in the middle. We have to wait and see.
Right.
DGA, which has this guy named Christopher Nolan, I never heard of this guy before. I guess they call him a filmmaker, but he's the president. They said, forget a statement. We're going to go directly to Netflix ourselves and try to work this out. Just try to explain why, we're a little bit concerned about this. And we really want to see a natural theatrical rollout for Warner's slate of stuff that's not exactly matching Netflix's model. So I don't know.
Right.
I'm very interested to see what DGA comes up with if they
I
do
am
put
too.
out a statement.
I'm very interested in that. I'm interested to see what Nolan's going to say about this because we
Mm-hmm.
already know how much of an advocate he is for the movie going experience and part of cinema. And you already know his Odyssey movie is going to make bank.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Can't wait for that to not get a physical release. But that is on the Universal, so that shouldn't be too much of a problem. I
no.
almost thought it was one of them.
And that's why I wish that Universal would have took this. I wish Comcast would have bought it
Mm-hmm.
because of the fact that it gives Universal have a chance to have better IP. They can not only better IP, but they can also build on the Universal Studios as well, even though they're already going to start doing that. But it would have given better IP all the way around across the board if they went with Comcast instead of Netflix.
Right.
But it is what it is. We're here right now, and this is it. This is what
Yeah.
we're dealing with. But you know, okay, I want to talk about this. I know Netflix. I didn't know made 82 point million. Yep, Netflix. I didn't know made 82 billion bucks. Wow. Yep, 82 billion.
They probably got trillions if they have 82 billion.
Yep, exactly. And they said that it's supposed to be for budget cuts and everything else, and that's why they're letting certain things go. No, it's called a tax break, which is also the same thing that Zaslav did. So I guarantee you, it's probably like, you know what? Let's get rid of some of this to actually make some money back from our taxes, and do it like that. Do it like that. But I just want to point this out, okay? I know that people want to see Zack Snyder back. Some of them are
Yes,
wanting
let's
Zack.
let's talk about
I want to
that.
talk about this. Guys, I hate to break it to you.
Go
Zack
ahead.
is not coming back. Okay. You can take out your little Zack Snyder night lights and your Henry Cavill night lights, and it's gonna be okay. Okay. And you can take your Zack Snyder comforters, and guess what? You can hold them close to your hearts. And that's where it's supposed to be. Close to when it was. This is 2025. It's okay to move on. You don't have to have that part of your life anymore because now
Yeah.
we have James Gunn at the helm doing
Mhm.
his thing, and we only had one project out of this whole entire 3-year contract that he has with
Mhm.
WB. So people are criticizing him before they even have a chance. He has a chance to even do anything. Yes, he made a Superman movie. It was successful. But here's the thing: in order for us to progress, in order for us to move on, we have to evolve. In order to evolve, we have to move on from what was. And also, too, why would Ben Affleck come back to a franchise that he was dealing with alcoholism? It was this film was divided among film fans, but not only
Yep.
divided among film fans, it was also divided among critics. It also didn't make the budget back at all.
Right.
So you take it's a $250 million budget for Batman versus Superman. It only made 800 million. So so there you go. And even if you say that was a success, you take a third of what that made, and that's how much the original. That's actually how much it actually groused.
Right. And that's how he got the short end of the stick. He got Mark Ruffalo'd. He never got his own solo movie.
Exactly. Let's see here. Gas wiper. Okay. So I always thought that the reason people truly loved and hated Snyder was his take on Superman being a false god. Wow, never heard that Superman movie before. Here's the thing. I reviewed the Zack Snyder version of Man of Steel. I did all my rewatches and stuff like that for Superman. So I said this. I like the way Zack did it because of the fact it gives us relatability to Superman and also makes us feel like he's actually human. And he was able to pull that human emotion from Clark and also Superman to make it not look like he's this god like being that can be hurt and have feelings. So that's something that I really liked. But at the same time, though, it's not that great of a film as I wanted it to be. And I own it on Blu-ray because I ended up liking the movie. But I like it, but I don't love the movie. Like, this is actually the Bible, if you know what I mean. But here's the thing. I think it's just time for us to move on. And I actually have a Zack Snyder hoodie as well, but I supported Zack because of the fact he wasn't able to get his film made at that time because of the stuff that happened with his daughter, because I felt bad that he didn't get a chance to make the Justice League movie the way he wanted to make his Justice League movie. So I'm like, okay, give him his director's cut and let's move on after that. So that's why I supported him. And that's also why I also have a big heart for whenever somebody loses their family member. But I just don't feel like that is something that people want now. Shazam does make Clark's dad's death seem dumb. If a kid come along and post on YouTube channel and nobody treated it serious. Okay. But yeah, what do you think though? What do you make of all this?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to copy your sentiments there. I feel like it's a completely new era with WB DC content, and I just don't see a reason as to why Zack Snyder should come back. He's moved on to bigger and better things, I'm sure. Rebel Moon, I have not seen. Have you seen Rebel Moon? I haven't seen.
I've seen the original cut. I've seen both of them, but I'm not going to go ahead and watch a director's cut to the same film that I watched. The only way I'll do that is if it was like a wide release in theaters, and then all of a sudden they decide, oh, we're going to give you a director's cut. I'm not going to go ahead and watch the same movie on my couch that I watched and watch the extended cut. And I also said this too in my review for Batman versus Superman. You can even watch that on my YouTube channel. I said Batman versus Superman, the extended cut is the better version than the theatrical cut. And you cannot put that on a poster at all. So yes, I've watched Rebel Moon, and I liked. And here's the thing, gas wiper. I actually like the visuals. The one thing that Snyder does great, he's a great visual director. I give him that. That's why I like Snyder films in a way, is because he's a great visual director. But when it comes down to some other stuff within his universe that he's trying to set up, it's more of a visual spectacle than it is an actual plot and stuff. That's the way I look at it. I don't know. It's subjective, but I'm going to pass it back over to you. What about for you?
Yeah. And continuing off of that, I do think that he wants to, do more creative things that doesn't necessarily rely on DC content. And now that you have James Gunn at the head of this and he's doing his thing, we got this terrific Superman movie. I know people are mixed about it or whatever, but it seems that he's really in tune with what he wants to do with the new universe. You got to let the guy cook a little bit, see what he has down the line, but it does look promising. And I just don't see a need for older previous heads coming back just because, certain people may not like the current way that the lineup may be
And I have a
produced or
question.
filmed.
Where were these people at when the DCEU at that time with the old regime was making these films and there was this division? Where were these people all of a sudden? Now everybody just hates James Gunn and they want everything back. And then you have Zack Snyder not even helping the situation, posting pictures in black and white of Henry Cavill, like that meme in Wolverine, rubbing his face gently across the thing like he lost his ex-girlfriend.
Soundtrack by Sarah McLachlan.
Great song, by the way. But I feel like this. Zach hasn't moved on, and he needs to move on from this and stuff. And people that keeps on pumping this up, he's not going to let it go because people want. Some people are actually want this. For me, I don't want Zack Snyder. I want to see what James Gunn has cooking, and also too. One thing I do wish that he would do is step back a little bit and start being like a Kevin Feige, to where he doesn't feel like he has to do everything. You know, like he's already planning Superman 2, but I wish that he would actually say, hey, look, I'm going to take a step back from my directing and I'm going to focus on as being a studio head and doing what's best for the universe that we're trying to create within WBDC. That's what I want to see him do. I want him to be the Kevin Feige of DC instead of him feeling like he has to do it all. And so far, we only seen him greenlight one movie project without him, and that's Supergirl.
Yeah.
So that's the only con that I have against James a little bit is the fact that he feels like he has to do everything when he doesn't. When you have all these other creatives coming in wanting to direct and do stuff and for DC. That's the only thing I have against James. Other than that, I love James. I love what he's doing and things like that. So, but I also want to come off this. The loss of HBO prestige storytelling, that's another downfall for me as far as that goes, because Task was a fantastic TV series.
I've heard about Task.
I love that TV series. I didn't do a review or anything on it, but Task is a perfect TV series to watch. And if we have this, even though it's been greenlit, what's the chances of it not being greenlit now? But it just makes me sad that we might not even see that show.
Yep.
And I just love the attention building. I love Mark Ruffalo in that show. We also have the other guy from Ozark in there as well. The one that I forgot the actor, the one that would play the teacher at one of the towards the end of the final seasons. But anyways,
drawing a blank.
But anyways, he's a great actor. But I just want to mention this, guys. David Zaslav might actually be an unknown exit package or staying to lead with WB both on the table. So he might actually be an executive. That's a might be. So then we have Mike DeLuca, who's a co-chair in WB Film. He's staying and doing the running of the theatrical slate. Then we have Pam Abdabi, who is a co-chair WB Film and staying running theatrical slate. And then James Gunn, co-CEO in DC, staying leading DC Universe Creative. So that's that's another positive for me as well whenever I'm looking at this. And it is a fit, and that is something that's within the Warner Brothers source that John Campea had. So I just want to mention that the source comes from someone that John Campea knows, and it doesn't come from me. It comes from John Campea, which I ended up doing some research on as far as that show goes. But yeah, so I think that's a positive, but I know we're talking about cons, not pros, but still. So we talked about the algorithm, we talked about licensing. Yeah, the licensing chaos and content reshuffling. Here's the thing. We like to actually have our video games and stuff. So guess what? That's going to have to be a separate entity. And that might actually ruffle a couple of things with Netflix as well, because Rocksteady makes the Batman video games and stuff.
Yeah.
So you have that going on with the licensing and the action figures and other things too. So that's one of the other negatives I have to say about that. Oversaturation with franchise and DC fatigue. They could actually be the DC. Remember when Warner Brothers was just greenlighting everything? Like they were just minions inside the office, just losing their minds. And then like, okay, let's go over here. They love this movie, so guess what? We're gonna make Birds of Prey. Well, never mind. We're gonna go ahead and make another movie. No, 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 no. We're not gonna do that anymore. I have a feeling that this is gonna be like that all over again.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this. So you know me, I love my physical media.
Oh yeah, let's get into that.
And I love, as a matter of fact, Arrow does a fantastic job of releasing great 4K DVDs, giving us great content, bonus features, and things like that. I like them more than I do Scream Factory.
Mhm.
But get this, Arrow's actually part of WB.
Oh.
And I just found that out today as well. So more collector edition stale books and box sets. So that's a positive. Direct to consumer physical sales through Netflix and global distribution without region locking. So, but here's the thing though. Is this just gonna be them getting rid of the old catalog of movies that's part of the physical media? Or is this gonna be them getting us more physical media, new physical media? Because of the fact that they already don't like physical media. So, do you have anything to add for that?
Yeah, I actually have some comments about the physical media section. You know, I do feel like that could be a particular threat because you and I both remember when Netflix started out just doing physical releases before they had big dreams of being the streamer services, gone
Mhm.
before the thought of Stranger Things or Orange is the New Black, hit shows like that. A certain company by the name of Blockbuster, they fumbled an opportunity to work with Netflix about that. And 25 years later, they're probably kicking their own asses, fumbling this particular deal. And I think, as a matter of fact, Netflix shipped their last piece of physical media either last year or the year before last. So they're definitely 100% focused on everything streaming with maybe like a 1, 2, 3 off in theaters for 2 weeks, as we said. So
Right.
the thing is, could that particularly interfere with the way that Warner has their lineup of physical media rollouts? Uh, just something that is food for thought. Something that makes you think. Like,
Right. I
could
feel
they
like
actually
this.
look into that?
I feel like this. They need to separate them like they were do with the budgets.
Yeah.
It's like, look, anything under the Warner Brothers umbrella, we're going to give you the physical content with it. But
Hmm.
anything under Netflix, we're just going to keep that as digital, and that's it. We're not going to do any kind of digital media or any kind of physical media for that.
Yeah.
So that's how I can see how that could be played out. It's just dividing that. But also too, why would you want two streaming services?
Yes,
That
because you
that
have
doesn't
Netflix. That is his own thing. And then on the other hand, you have it is HBO Max now. I've gotten so used
right.
to just saying Max. This is so confusing. What sense does that make to have two streaming services with two totally different things? How does that work? Do they merge together, kind of like what Disney did with Hulu? How does
Right.
that work exactly?
That's what I was wondering. I was like, okay, maybe they'll go ahead later on and they'll probably add that into it and just be under one umbrella that way. Or you're gonna have to sign up for a premium and pay $40 for HBO Max and Netflix. Or if you choose just the one Netflix, that's all you get is just Netflix.
Right. Or if you just choose HBO Max, you get HBO Max.
Max.
And with ads. Don't forget the ads.
Don't forget the ads. That's important.
Yeah.
But also too, then later on, then they're gonna go say, well, you know what? We're gonna do away with that, and we're gonna put it under one umbrella. So guess what? You're gonna have to pick another package plan because we're doing away with the fact that you actually have to have two different types of plans. So they
Yeah.
could actually go that route with it as well. You know. But let's see here. Gas Wiper says Hunt for Golem will make money, I think. Here's the thing, any type of Lord of the Rings franchise and everything could make money and stuff. The Hunt for Golem,
Yeah, I was thinking about that one. That just kind of.
yeah. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. It's a 50-50 chance. I'm not gonna say never because I've been surprised before. Look at this. But you
I feel
know,
like Game of Thrones fever is still pretty big. So I mean, maybe to capitalize off that, they could probably focus on more something
well,
TV than theatrical.
well, get this. They want to make an animated, kid-friendly Game of Thrones.
How?
I don't know. Is it less ancestry? Is it less
Less, nudity, less
right?
violence. Well, how does? Okay, but the Lord of the okay, sure.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Because I read that too. I don't know if you've seen that story.
No.
Yeah, and they're also coming out with a spin-off series for Game of Thrones.
Stripperella? No,
As
I'm just kidding.
I forgot what the spin-off series is, but they're coming out with another spin-off series for Game of Thrones.
Okay.
But they do want to make an animated series that's basically for kids.
Oh, I don't know how that's gonna work, but we'll
Me
see.
either. Hey, Dad, why is that woman showing her bush? I don't know, son. Why
Dad,
does
what is a bush?
this look
Mama,
outside,
what is
son?
a vagina?
No, I can see. Just look outside. There you go.
Or showing George Bush playing golf.
But anyways, physical releases become okay. So global distribution without region locking, direct to consumer physical sales through Netflix. So that means that we might have to go through the Netflix site and stuff like that to buy our physical content, which would suck because we both looked at their store. You
Yeah,
remember?
off
Their
stream.
Yeah,
Yeah, we were comparing prices.
their stuff is sad,
$60 for a mug.
right? But get this though.
$75 for probably a straw now. Now that they got Warner Brothers and oh my gosh.
The only cool thing that I can say though is like if you're a Sopranos fan and you don't want to have two different apps for that, it'll be
Mhm.
underneath that one umbrella to where you can actually watch The Sopranos if you want to, or Sex and the City, or anything like that, to where you don't have to flip flop back and forth.
Or
You
friends
know,
or whatever.
right. So that's only one other thing. So physical media cons. Physical releases become collectors only. Loss of special features, which we already are getting already with other companies. Because I used to remember the day and age where you can actually get a DVD and watch the commentary or watch the deleted scenes or anything like that. And I used to eat that up every single time. That's what made me want to get the DVD or the
Mm,
Blu-ray. And then even now in the digital age, it's gone. And even on the physical level, it's gone.
it's
Some of
gone.
it is gone. And I wish they would bring it back because I love that stuff. And that's why I love collecting from Arrow, because of the fact that they give us extra content with it. Because that Mask 4K Blu-ray that I own, the list of features was just phenomenal. Even the 4K release of Nightmare on Elm Street was
Mm,
really good. I got the box set for that. That was another good one. But to give us less special features and paying more, no.
mm, mm-mm.
But here's the thing: do you buy physical media or anything, or are you? I'm just wondering because I know I'm old school, but I want to know what the new age is like though too.
Well, as a new ager that is spiritually 65 years old, yeah, I do cop some physical media from time to time. It's mostly, Disney stuff. Disney Plus. It's a cool platform, but I just ideally would like having some stuff in physical form. I do like the thrill of putting something in a DVD player and just watching something naturally on a DVD player. Whereas on a streaming service, you might get ads and stuff that kind of infiltrates your experience. I'm still I like the nostalgic, if you will, aspect of just watching, physical media. So yeah, I do collect physical media. I'm definitely not on the level of my mother or father per se, because they're the old heads at that. They're the OGs. But down the line, I definitely want to get more physical pieces because it looks like the sales and the way they're being presented is definitely dwindling. Certain stores like West Y, figure out what that rhymes with. They're not really selling it much anymore,
No,
and they're
they
just
got
sitting
rid
at the
of it,
center spots. So yeah, and
and
Redbox is
even
definitely dying too. So
well,
where do you go to get physical media outside of
exactly
social
because I have
media?
to go to Scream Factory or I have to go to Arrow or
Yeah.
I have to go to some other website and stuff. And it's hard to, and at least if I own the movie, at least I can pull it off my shelf and it'll
Yep.
still be there, and I don't have to worry about no contracts, nothing like that. I can pick it up anytime I want and not have
Exactly.
to wait. So that's what I like about collecting physical media. Now, the older catalog films may go out of print. We talked about that a little bit
Mm,
because we've seen movies go out of print before. Dogma,
right.
which now just got, but also too, it was also owned by the Harvey Weinstein Company. But
Miramax.
also Miramax, but Kevin got that back, and
Yeah.
he's releasing a 4K for that, which I'm gonna get. But you know, we actually see from time to time again that they actually don't re-release older stuff, and that's just sucks the way it is. So now we're gonna go into DC comic book pros. Okay, so
Right.
streaming and comic synergy. You have global discovery of DC Comics, creative freedom of Elseworld stories. So that's actually a positive because I like having Elseworld stories where you don't have to have any continuity within your comics or anything like that. You can just pick up a comic and read it. Global discovery of DC. That means more people will be able to have access outside the U.S. to be able to read comics and feel the same type of way that we do about comic books. But the cons for this: local comic book shops may suffer. Print comics are deprioritized. Comics-based movies are the blueprint,
Mm.
and I don't like the fact that okay. Let me backtrack for a minute. Comics become the blueprint. Okay, so I know that we are doing this already, right? Because
Oh, yeah.
Marvel made a Captain America: Civil War, which is completely different than the Captain America: Civil War and the graphic novel and the comics and stuff. So they use certain ideas to make their own movie. This one, I feel like they're gonna, and I'm not talking about Captain America, but I'm talking about other comic book based movies. They might actually do a paint by the numbers kind of movie. It's like, oh, well, since they like this, and this in on a comic book page, we're going to use this, and this in there, and it'll be a paint by the numbers movie with no originality. It'll be just like as you would read it out of the comic book.
Mm.
But how do you feel about that?
Well, we can only have hope that the comic slate still gets priority within this Netflix thing because, as we mentioned earlier, they're very inconsistent with what particular project they want to focus with before dropping it. So we can only hope that they have full eyes on it. They actually commit to said project and give it, as much energy and time as needed instead of just, abandoning it and blaming it on tax cuts and budget cuts and other, reasons to excuse their business model. That's
Right.
that's the hope there.
And another reason why they cancel a certain season is because of the fact that they want to get new subscribers because they already got the old subscribers because they subscribed for that one show. Then they got
Mm,
them. So guess what? I'm going to go ahead and cancel that show and create another show so I can get other subscribers hooked on that show. And then we'll
clever.
get going. It's a never ending cycle of revolving door that happens over at Netflix.
Yeah,
And get this local comic book shops may suffer. Here's the thing. I love physical, we already talked about physical media, but I
you
also
did.
feel that way about my comics. I like
Hmm.
physical media with comics. And I know it's digitalized. I know people love reading their comics digital and stuff like that. And I respect that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, comic book stores are going to suffer because of this. But and also too, I don't know how WBE is going to go on it and Netflix is going to market their comic books now too, as well. So does this also become an issue as well with the marketing behind that?
Mm.
And matter of fact, I actually used to go to a comic book store and it suffered because of the fact that with the economy and the pandemic and everything else, that comic book shop closed. But with this, you have a studio company that's going to shut down a comic book store because of the fact that you're going to make everything digital.
Yep. Or they're just gonna buy it and turn it into that Netflix store that you showed me online, where
Yeah.
everything is just price engaged to death. $60 mugs,
Mhm.
$85 sweaters and hoodies. I don't know. That looks pretty dire.
Let's see here. Well, Vision Pro is going to be big soon, and Cosm and Sphere. theaters.
Oh, like in Vegas, the Sphere?
Is that what you're heading towards? Is like the Sphere theaters in Las Vegas? I'm just wondering.
That
If
has
you
to be a
can,
visual nightmare for ADHD and overstimulated folks. Sorry, that's a random tidbit. I can't
I would
imagine
need
going
to
to see the
probably
Wizard of
double
Oz at the
down.
Sphere.
Yep, that's what he's talking about.
Okay.
Cosmo. Here's the thing: if I had to do that, I'm gonna have to take a magnesium, and I'm gonna have to
Yes.
take my more Vyvanse.
Some Zyrtec, some Tylenol,
They did
just
the
anything to
Matrix.
just ease the pain.
They did the Matrix. Okay, I don't like that idea.
Me either.
I'm scared now. I was.
Yeah, imagine going into a Spear Theater getting taken over. AMC
Right?
doesn't exist and they're replaced by Spear Theaters.
Could you just
Visuals all
imagine
around
all
the
this?
theater.
Nicole Kidman is now being replaced.
Oh my God. Can you imagine Nicole Kidman in a spear shaped theater? She's just taking over the entire room. Videos, movies. I love
Oh,
to
it's a
go down
bigger
to the
screen than
movies.
Matrix. Okay. Here's the thing. I like IMAX screens and also like regular standard screens. I'm not big into like Matrix size screens and stuff. What about for you? I'm just fine with two different screen formats. I'm fine with IMAX and I'm fine with the regular standard.
Yeah, I don't like the concept of it. I would like to go to the Spear, but that's for Vegas because that sounds like something that would be in Las Vegas, not a whole nationwide thing.
Right. I don't want that.
Right.
Then for sure you'll see a bunch of people wanting to watch, or even though we already have people that already likes watching movies at home, we'll
Yeah.
be even seeing more closures for movie theaters at that point.
Yeah. And being replaced by Spirit theaters, not just in Vegas, but just nationwide. So say goodbye to your AMCs, your Regals, your Cinemarks, your
Mm-hmm.
Angelicas, whatever. And welcome to new age of Spirit theaters. Yeah, I don't know.
No.
No.
At that point, you might as well just be in a D box seat.
Right. Yeah. A Spear and a 4X theater, your seat shaking while the visuals are that sounds like a visual
That just
nightmare.
gave me more anxiety on top of what we just talked about.
This is
So
triggering.
exactly. So does Netflix turn Warner Brothers into a creative powerhouse, or does it mark the end of a traditional theater releases, physical media and print comics? So that's my question for you guys. Are you guys excited? Are you guys okay with this? Do you like this idea? Or it's like, okay, I need to see the more pros and cons before I actually say that I'm on board with this. Because right now we're in the mystery element, and even here's the thing: you're not going to turn on your TV tomorrow morning or anything. You're not going to see the penguins show up on your TV. You're not going to see
Oh
Game
God,
of
I
Thrones.
which depends on which penguin. Now, Dan DeVito, I might be like, oh,
No,
okay,
I'm talking
but
about
the
Colin
Colin
Farrell.
Farrell penguin, I don't.
Yeah. Hey, what you doing over there?
uh-uh. So you got that gun in that pocket. Stay away.
Excited for Netflix buying it. Okay, so you're excited about Netflix buying it. Okay, that's cool. $82 billion is a huge amount of money. Yeah, it is. It's bigger than my bank account right now.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
$82.7 billion. We can retire off of that.
Yeah, most definitely. That would be great.
Just remaster all of your episodes in
Right?
4K Blu-ray.
I'll have a steel book. But
Sure.
but like I said, it's going to take them at least another year before we actually see any kind of changes within this. Because don't forget, they also have to finalize everything, make sure that it's not monopolizing and stuff like that. Because look how long it took with the merger with Fox. They actually had to make sure it was not being monopolized and stuff. So there's that, and then you also have to look at their game plan, what their game plan is going to be. And it's going to be a minute. It's going to be a while. So 2026, I would say probably around this time next year, we'll have more of an idea of what we're getting. Until then, we'll probably just get a bunch of rumors and stuff like that and what they're trying to plan and get maybe a scale of what they're looking at. But right now, I'm apprehensive. I'm not that optimistic, but I am just happy at the fact that it's not with Paramount.
Yes. Yes. Thank
And
goodness it's not Paramount. Whew.
And also, too, if I was them, if I was Netflix, I would just lease CNN so that way I can make my money back. so I can make some money off of somebody.
Because they're adamant on not wanting it, but it would make sense to, try to lease it to somebody like you said earlier in our conversation off air, Comcast. I think that's right up their alley for something they could, acquire. Just somebody that's not Paramount so they can, gosh, no.
Let's see. Star Wars was actually sold for $4.5 billion in 2012.
That's chump change now.
Yeah. If you actually look at inflation and stuff, it's more than that. It would have been more.
Yeah.
If you look at inflation. But also, too, Star Wars is over $1 billion franchise.
Yeah.
So either way it goes, either way you cut it. Yeah. That was a huge deal back in that decade. Yeah. I actually remember running a Star Wars fan page on Facebook and us speculating on what we might get and things like that, and wondering what the new episode was going to be. So I remember doing all that and just fanboying at the fact that we are actually going to get Star Wars at that time in 2012.
Yeah.
And it's just, and you know what, though? If I could say any company that monopolizes, it's probably Disney, because
they own everything.
Yeah. Get this. Before the merger, okay, they only owned 50% of Hulu.
And how much do they own now?
60. Because at that time, guess what? Hulu, let's see here, only owned like 10% or something like that. And then they own 50%. So yeah, now they own like 60% of Hulu.
Oh,
if not all of Hulu.
Which is a miracle in itself.
Yeah. So anything else that you want to talk about as far as the subject goes? I'm just wondering, like, if you have anything else that in your notes that we might have missed.
No, I think that's it now. I think we're going to try to pivot now because it's award season. I did read something that came up earlier about NBC Universal and YouTube currently bidding to stream the Oscars. So I'm interested.
I didn't hear about that.
Yes, that's the table. Everybody's worried about they tried to drop it. They were like, oh, everybody talking about Netflix and Warner Brothers. Let's just drop this.
You know what? Everybody's in a bidding war. So guess what? We're going to do this.
We're going to bid too. And Mickey Mouse was like, wait a minute.
Oh boy, why are you bidding? Stop it.
So that should be interesting.
Yeah. So my question is this: what company is bidding on who? Just tell me that again.
Oh, about the Oscars?
Yeah.
NBC Universal and YouTube. I guess this is for live streaming.
Yeah, live streaming.
Yeah. Yes, NBC Universal and YouTube. I guess this would be the second award show to do that in the season, because the SAG Awards, well, they rebranded to the Actor Awards recently. Used to be on TNT and TBS. That now exclusively streams either on YouTube or Netflix. I think it's Netflix, though. Right. What a coincidence. But yeah, it should be interesting to see how that particular bidding thing goes out. But I don't think that will affect the television run for the Oscars on ABC.
I agree. And here's the thing. I feel like this with the Oscars. I feel like it should be on like a YouTube channel or Hulu. Right. Like they did, like, for example, with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I think it should be like that.
On Disney Plus.
I think it should be on Disney Plus. That would be perfect.
Yep.
Because think of it like this. Nobody, for us, that's like our World Series. Is the Oscars.
It is.
And so some people are not into that awards show or anything. So you take it off of ABC, you put it onto the streaming service, and everybody wins. They get their whatever thing that other people are watching on regular networks and everything. They get what they want. We get what we want. Everybody is happy. So I think that streaming it on like Disney Plus is a perfect place to do it on.
Yeah.
So with that being said, guys, that's going to be it as far as this show goes. I do want to thank Omi Gas Wiper. I do appreciate you. And I also want to say, Kevin, even though I didn't agree with you, I appreciate you commenting. And thank you for that. And everyone, have a great and safe night, guys. And here's the thing. If you guys want to talk about some Stephen King's It, Welcome to Derry. I do that every Monday at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. I love talking about that show. Love diving
Yeah.
into the lore of Stephen King. Of course, you already know that.
Yes. I can float too.
Right. We all float.
We all float down here. Yeah.
We all float down here. But all right, guys. Well, that's gonna be it as far as this goes. And yeah, guys. Have a great and safe night, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Let me see if yeah, there we go.